So here we are. The very thing Harry and Meghan once vowed to guard above all else, their children, has now become the storm pulling their public image apart. At the center of this growing controversy stands Tom Bower, a man whose revelations don't just land softly, they explode. And the burning question echoing across headlines isn't about royal etiquette or palace politics anymore. It's something far more intimate, far more unsettling. Who exactly are Archie and Lilibet? For most families, even asking such a thing would feel absurd. But for the Sussexes, where every chapter of their lives has been branded, polished, and sold, the question strikes differently. Bower's allegation isn't some throwaway tabloid rumor. It's sharp, direct, and built on years of research. He claims Archie and Lilibet may not be Harry and Meghan's biological children at all, that surrogacy wasn't just a private choice, but a carefully concealed secret. And perhaps, he suggests, even that isn't the full truth. Now, pause for a moment and let that settle. Because this isn't a debate over parenting styles or personal boundaries. This is about legitimacy, bloodlines, the royal succession itself. If there's even a grain of truth in Bower's claim, then this isn't just gossip. It's a wrecking ball aimed at the monarchy's very foundation. Harry, once seen as the bold, mischievous prince adored worldwide, is now reduced to a figure of memes and mockery. Some critics paint him as a naive man manipulated by Meghan. Others see him as a knowing partner in a deception so personal, it cuts through centuries of royal tradition. Either way, insiders say he's rattled. Reports from Montecito describe him pacing halls, snapping at staff, obsessing over every headline and social media whisper. The man who once championed mental health now appears to be unraveling under the weight of his own story. And Meghan? She's said to be playing it cool, almost calculating. No tearful outbursts, just carefully drafted legal threats designed to smother the story with silence and lawsuits. But here's the irony. The harder she tries to bury the whispers, the more people demand to know what's being hidden. Critics are already pointing to suspicious details, staged-looking pregnancy photos, inconsistent timelines, the lack of clear medical records, or traditional birth announcements. Where were the hospital photos? Why was everything so vague? Why did it all feel so carefully orchestrated? Then there's the distance. Unlike William and Kate's children, who are often pictured with King Charles, Camilla, and the late Queen, Archie and Lilibet have rarely been photographed with senior royals. Is that a coincidence, or has the palace deliberately kept its distance? And make no mistake, this isn't just idle chatter. The implications are enormous. If surrogacy alone was involved, that's one thing. But if outside donors were part of the picture, if the biological ties aren't what's been claimed, then it becomes a royal earthquake. The children's standing in the line of succession could be questioned, and that's something the monarchy cannot leave vague. Tom Bower isn't just stirring the pot for book sales. He's built a reputation on exposing uncomfortable royal truths, many of which later proved true. And now, he's lit the fuse on what may be his most explosive claim yet, one that could shake Harry and Meghan's image and possibly their place in royal history. Through all this, the Sussexes remain silent. No statement, no denial, no DNA test, just silence. And in moments like these, silence isn't neutral, it screams. It fuels speculation. It leaves people asking, if they had nothing to hide, wouldn't they have proved it already? Calls for DNA testing are louder than ever. What began as quiet curiosity has erupted into a public demand, echoed across social media, tabloids, and now even mainstream news panels. Commentators debate it. Hashtags trend. And the question refuses to die. If Harry and Meghan have nothing to conceal, why not simply take the test? From a public relations perspective, it's a nightmare. Their brand was built on the image of a modern fairy tale. A young couple escaping the palace, building a life of love and freedom with their 2 children in sunny Montecito. But now, that image is cracking, and the cracks run deep. This isn't just another round of royal drama. This is about the very legitimacy of their family. For Harry, it cuts deeper than any scandal before. He's always described fatherhood as his redemption arc. When he stepped down from royal duties, when he clashed with family, when he sat with Oprah, he said it was all for the children. Fatherhood, he claimed, saved him, gave him purpose. But now, critics are asking, what if the children he clings to aren't even biologically his? It's a brutal blow to his image, and worse, to his identity. The boy who walked behind Diana's coffin as a symbol of strength is now seen as either a naive pawn or a willing participant in deception. One makes him pitiable, the other makes him dishonest. And in both versions, he looks powerless. Reports from Montecito paint a grim picture. Friends describe Harry as consumed, reading every rumor, watching every video, dissecting old photos and timelines. He's angry, sleepless, spiraling. The irony is hard to miss. The prince who once preached mental health awareness now appears trapped in his own mental cage. Meanwhile, Meghan continues her strategic, legalistic approach. Sources say her lawyers are drafting cease and desist letters to media outlets, threatening lawsuits if the story isn't buried. But every legal move only stokes curiosity, because people wonder, why go to such extremes to silence a claim unless it carries truth? And the palace? Their silence has been deafening. No words from King Charles, no recent family photos with the children, no public birthday greetings. Compare that to the open affection shown for William and Kate's kids. It's night and day. Observers are beginning to wonder if the royal family suspects something. Or worse, if they've known all along. A theory now gaining traction suggests the distance isn't punishment, but protection. That by keeping Archie and Lilibet at arm's length, the monarchy shielded itself from a scandal they feared would one day erupt. If true, that changes everything. It would mean the palace anticipated this reckoning and chose quiet distance over confrontation. If that's the case, this is no longer a tabloid story. It's a royal crisis. Because if even the monarchy harbors doubts, then Archie and Lilibet's place in the lineage isn't just speculation. It's a matter of survival for the crown. The pressure has grown beyond curiosity now. It's suspicion. And it's not just the tabloids fueling it anymore. Mainstream outlets and even some longtime royal supporters are openly asking, will Harry and Meghan agree to a DNA test? It may sound absurd, but when every other path to clarity has been blocked, what option remains? The couple had chances to release medical records, to be transparent about the timelines, to silence speculation with evidence. Instead, they've leaned on silence and legal threats. And in the court of public opinion, silence often looks like guilt. The damage may already be irreversible. Harry, once admired for defying tradition with strength, now appears adrift, stripped of identity. His old friends reportedly keep their distance, unsettled by his volatility. The one role he cherished, being a father, is now the very thing slipping from his grasp. Meghan, meanwhile, continues her strategy of deflection and control. But legal battles don't win moral wars, and the public isn't blind. They remember the Netflix specials, the curated Instagram moments, the speeches about truth and authenticity. And now, when the couple refuses transparency about something so fundamental, the hypocrisy cuts deep. And still, the royal family stays silent. Not a word of defense, not a single gesture of support. Behind palace walls, whispers suggest Charles has been advised to keep his distance. Some say contingency plans are already being drawn in case the children's legitimacy in the line of succession is ever legally challenged. And so, the fairy tale crumbles. The brave prince and his modern duchess, who sold the world on a story of freedom and honesty, now find themselves buried under secrecy and suspicion. In the end, it may come down to one moment, one choice. Take the DNA test or refuse. One path could silence critics, perhaps restore a fragment of credibility. The other guarantees a legacy of doubt, because questions of bloodline don't vanish. They linger. They define history. Harry and Meghan bet everything on a narrative of truth and liberation. But now that story is being rewritten by silence, by suspicion, and by one relentless question that refuses to die. Who are Archie and Lilibet, really?